One of my favorite parts about retro gaming is finally getting to play classic titles I've heard about all my life but hadn't gotten around to. After years of keeping my eyes wide open, Ninja Gaiden finally presented itself to me at a local used gaming store for a price I was willing to pay. So, does it live up to its legacy or fail to impress? As you probably know, Ninja Gaiden started out as an arcade beat-em-up. However, the game was built up from scratch for the NES version, and what we have here is a side-scrolling action game. Being a ninja, your primary objective is to maneuver your way through 6 highly detailed stages, each presenting itself with more challenging obstacles and enemies to overcome. However, saying Ninja Gaiden has just 6 stages is a bit inaccurate. Each stage features multiple sub-stages, which really stretches the length of the game out quite a bit. And the sub-stages are often vastly different from each other, so you aren't just looking at the scenery being rearranged. Which leads us to our next point, the graphics. The graphics in Ninja Gaiden are breathtaking. I don't believe I've played an NES game that showcases such detail. From the top of the screen to the bottom of the screen is nothing but nicely detailed sprites, and there is rarely a section of the screen that is simply a solid color. The amount of detail on the screen is amazing, and how the code ninjas at Tecmo managed just 25 on-screen colors look like so much more will always be a mystery. Your ninja protagonist, Ryu Hayabusa, as well as the enemies, don't quite stand up to the excellent environments, however. They look alright, but feature very primitive animation. Still, as a whole, Ninja Gaiden looks terrific. But let's get back to the meat of Ninja Gaiden, which is running, jumping, and slicing foes with your sword. The controls are super tight and responsive. There is a slight learning curve as the jumping is a bit tighter than your typical 8-bit platformer, but it's still very accurate. In addition to jumping, you can also stick to the wall, and many parts of the level will require you to jump back and forth between 2 walls to continue through. It's great fun. Your primary weapon is a katana. When you first start playing, it seems a bit tough to hit enemies, but your katana actually has a very generous reach, so swinging at enemies slightly early is the name of the game. After a while, it feels very natural. In addition to your katana, you can collect spiritual strength for some nice alternate moves that really come in handy during boss fights. And it wouldn't be a Ninja Gaiden review without mentioning the amazing soundtrack. The music found in Ninja Gaiden is nothing short of brilliant. These are some of the best chiptunes I've ever heard, and hold up extremely well, even today. The melodies are incredibly catchy, and you'll be hard-pressed not to have these stuck in your head for days. Ninja Gaiden's cutscenes were quite unique back when it was released. From a retro perspective, they're mostly filler. The story isn't deep, and I found myself skipping through them, but it's nice to see some actual cinematics rather than stale, motionless sprites. The story even somewhat explains the next environment you will encounter, leading you from America all the way to the South American jungle. Back in the 80s, this was probably pretty impressive. Despite my glowing review thus far, Ninja Gaiden isn't perfect. The biggest problem with the game has to do with the way enemies spawn. If you backtrack at all, which you will trying to avoid the damn birds, and make your way forward again, all your killed enemies will return, thus wasting all of your effort. Many cheap deaths will ensue. Memorization and precision are critical. Despite my best efforts, my skill runs out at stage 6-2. Overall, Ninja Gaiden is a stunning game. The entire presentation, from the cutscenes to the music and the wonderfully detailed graphics, create one of the most immersive 8-bit titles ever to grace the NES. The controls are spot on and the level design is top-notch. Unfortunately, the enemy placement and the way they constantly respawn does suck some of the fun out of the game, and for that, I give it a 4 out of 5.